Hello, folks, and welcome to yet another behind the scenes. Now, this behind the scenes is actually incomplete because what you're seeing right now is the end process of a project I started months ago in provision for this one shot. So, I'll try and summarize what I did in the other months. Because when I came up with this one shot, I had this clear idea of a dragon, a beautiful, huge dragon. But as most simmers know, dragons in Sims are limited to little creatures that have limited animations and it's very limited and they're not huge. And I did try once, if I don't know if anybody remembers, in the game chapter, I'll try and add a picture. There we go. A picture right here of the dragon I'm speaking of. Yes, this dragon it's baby dragon from The Sims that I just used the resizer to make huge, except he was very, very pixelized and it wasn't very pretty. So, I decided, if I want a really cool dragon, I don't want that. And I'd already delved a bit into CC making, so I knew that I could grab a model from another game or whatever and make it into an object for Sims or an accessory. So I wondered, why can't I do that with a dragon? I bet there are 3D models of dragons all over the internet that I could possibly use for my story. And I was right. Well, I had to do a lot of searching because, people make money from models, but I found this free model of a dragon that somebody had made. So I went, yes, I can use this for my story. I can work on this. I can make objects and then maybe I can morph it so it has different poses. That was a problem for another day. First problem was making sure I could make this into an object for The Sims, because a lot of different 3D programs, have different ways of assigning texture. Blender has a thing where you only have one map, one place for the UV map. That means one texture. Unfortunately, a lot of other models you'll find online have 5-6 textures for 5-6 different UV maps, and they all apply at the same time. And this was the case for this dragon. So it was a difficult process to try and convert it. I had to find a way to copy the current textures on a new UV, and I had to unwrap the Blender mesh several times, and sometimes it was pixelated there, the textures were wonky, I had some wonky texture problems, it was something else. But as you can see, I managed to eventually figure it out, and that was victory for that day. Now, I know a lot of words I've just used, like UV map, might actually confuse some people. I'll get to that in a tutorial video. It's an important process of meshing and CC making. So yes, once I figured out how to insert it into the game, I could go to the next step, which was boning, because I wanted the dragon to be able to have different poses, as I can very easily do on this video now. And well, for that, I needed to be able to move the mesh with ease. So I figured out how to bone the dragon, which was, you see all those like triangle figures inside that I keep selecting? Those are bones I had to manually add one at a time. That would, depending on where they were placed, move the mesh as I wanted it to. That's called an armature, as you can see on the top right there. Well, not anymore. Yes, there we go. So it's called an armature. So once I managed that, it became really simple. As you can see, I just gotta pose my dragon, and it looks beautiful, just like I want it to. Once it's perfect, then I have to go to the next step, which is to separate the armature and the mesh, which is a pretty simple thing to do. I separate by selection by keeping the parent, however, so that the armature keeps affecting the mesh and it keeps the same pose. And then once that's done, once I've posed everybody I want to pose, I just have to export the whole thing as an object so I can then import it into Milkshake shape later. Now here I know it's really sped up, but it's mostly because I had a few hours of this. I had, what was that, I think 6-7 dragons to make for this chapter. And well, it's very nice that I can pose everything, but That doesn't mean I can import the pose into the pose list for the game. That's not how it works. The whole point of posing the dragon here is just getting it as I want to, but after that I have no choice. I have to make it into an object for the game, which is why I have to separate the armature. Yes, so soon, in maybe a minute or so, you're going to see that I'm going to switch to milkshape, because with CC and meshing, you need milkshape because milkshape has the TSRW plugin, which Blender doesn't. I prefer working with Blender a lot, but yes, here we are. The milkshape process was really easy. As I said, the whole entire point of going to milkshape for me is just to export it in the format that I need to for TSRW. So once I enter milkshape, what's important is one, deleting all materials, and then I just gotta delete the human that often comes because I didn't delete him from Blender, so I had to delete him manually. And also I have to merge. As you can see now, there are 4 groups because the dragon, the original mesh, was separated that way in Blender. So here I have to select everything, regroup, and then rename. Also, in the beginning, you'll see the dragon is like black. Well, every time we import something into milkshape, we have to Control M to smooth all groups. I don't quite know why yet, but it's something you always have to do. So yeah, as you can see, it's really simple. I just regroup all the meshes, and then I export it as TSRW for file, so I can import it here in TSRW. So right here, I cloned a sculpture that, you know, it's got like a simple, it's got a normal map, it's got good textures, and it's rather big, so it works perfectly. As you can see, I just got to update. I had to make, I didn't show it here, but because I did that a few months ago, the textures too, I had to make on my own, the multiplier, the specular, etc. So here you just got to import the mesh. I just got to make sure the textures look good, and then I can rename, recategorize, make sure everything is okay, and exit. Now this seems really simple. I thought it was really simple. Just put in the mesh, reclone, put in a new mesh, make all the dragons this way, and it worked perfectly. I thought so, and then I got into the game and I saw this. As you can see, the textures are all wonky, even though they look perfect in TSRW. Well, the problem with that is that I actually had this problem a few months ago and I forgot about it. I'm not exactly sure the root problem, but it was the normal map, as it happens, that I think it wasn't scaled because the dragon is so huge. So I had to clone a different object. I had to go back. I didn't video this. I had to clone a different object that didn't have a normal map at all, and just make this dragon without a normal map, and then the model worked. Then it showed up perfectly in The Sims. So I'm not too sure how that works with the normal map, but I didn't question it too much. But everything you're seeing on the screen now basically was for nothing. I had to redo all of it. But redoing everything is basically what you're seeing here. So importing the mesh and then saving. Since it's always the same textures, everything, the first time was the toughest time because I had to change all the settings, make sure it was in the right places, and make sure it had the textures. After that, I just needed to import each dragon again and again and just switch up the meshes. So yeah, that's behind the scenes for this dragon. And eventually I can show you guys how I make stuff.